Welcome to the Supplement Engineer Podcast. My name is Robert Chinetsky. Joining me, as always, for a weekly banter of all things supplements, the marketing director for Morphogen Nutrition, Justin Hall of Supplement Snoop. Welcome back, my man.
That's a good one. I like that one. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Ben a little bit ago. He's got something fun he's working on.
Got some new stuff he's brewing up in his bathtub.
But he told me not to tell anybody, so I said, well, I'll see who pays the most for it.
So we had Father's Day this past weekend, and I know you were heading out of town to, we'll start the podcast on a light note this week. You headed out of town, I think, for another bourbon-infueled fest. So any good picks this weekend?
So on the way there, what did I pick up? Shit. Yeah, see, I wasn't prepared. So I picked up some Eagle Rare, and what was the Jefferson's
Ocean?
Yeah, but it was like a was it like super small batch, super? I can't remember exactly what it's called. Very small batch, and it was called something else, like very small batch, and something else that was kind of funny, like very small, very something. I can't remember.
Yeah, my brother-in-law has told me about the Jefferson's Oceans before. Actually, my little sister did, and she said her husband drinks it all the time. But I'm wondering, because there's like 6 different versions of it, and I wasn't sure which one, and I asked her, and she said, I have no clue, but it's not cheap.
Yeah, let me find exactly which one it was. The Reserve. Let's see here. This is it. Right. Never mind. I wasn't prepared for this, or I would have found it earlier. Whatever it was Jefferson's Oceans. It was like very small batch, very something or other. But dude, we could not. I mean, we drank the whole damn bottle and could not figure out what it tasted like. Because we just kept drinking, and they were like, "What does this taste like?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, I swear to God, I taste like almost cotton candy at the end of it." And so we kept like going back and forth, and I'm like, "Man, I don't know. Like, is that?" And then when someone tells you what it tastes like, and then all of a sudden you taste it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah. So we just kept like going back and forth trying to figure out what it tastes like. And like I said, next thing you know, basically drank the whole bottle and still couldn't figure it out. So
what is the strongest proof bourbon you've tried?
I think one was like 117 proof. Hold on. So I'm finding that description of the one. It says hints of vanilla, caramel, and assorted fruit flavors. So the cotton candy almost makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
There's no way. But then, sure enough, you taste it, and you're like, son of a bitch, this tastes like cotton candy. I have one right here that's really high. Or this is 100 proof. I think 117 was the highest one I tried.
Yeah, I think the highest I've gone is 114. And what I've found, cause I've tried 2 different 114 proofs. The Noah's Mill, which is 114.75, and then the is it with the Old Grandad 114? Is that the one I sent you a couple weeks ago that I was looking at? And the Noah's Mill is like $50 a bottle for a 750 milliliter one, but the other 114 one, it was like 28 or 30 for a 750 mil one. But both of those, you would expect them to kind of taste like lighter fuel, or lighter fluid, or rocket fuel, or something like that. They're that high proof, but both of those I found have been incredibly smooth, almost sweet. Like especially the Noah's Mill one is very caramelly and almost syrupy. Do you find the same thing with the higher proof bourbons?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know what you're saying, but I don't know if that I've distinguished enough. See, the thing is like whenever we start to do this, we get a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, if you want to have these types of conversations, you're supposed to have some sort of like notes, and you're supposed to like talk. But by the time the nights and the weekends over with, it's just like a shit show. So I don't know. It's like they're like, well, it was good, and that's about the end of it. So it was like, okay, so this is very old, very small batch.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Butterscotch, raisins, and vanilla.
Ooh, that sounds really, really good.
It was good. It was really good. Well, the reason why I picked it up too is because I mean I've heard of Jefferson's Ocean before, and this one was in like a tin, like a tin case, and I was like, well, it's got to be good, right?
Yeah.
Just like everything I tell people not to do with supplements, I did it, but I knew that they do like good quality stuff, so. He wanted some Eagle Rare because he can't get it where he is, and I told him it was like $30 by us. So he wanted me to pick him up some. So I picked up 2 bottles of that, and then this Jefferson's. And so to tie it in with supplements, Corey, I got to give a huge shout out to Corey from OuttenFit.
Yeah,
because he lives about an hour and a half away, maybe an hour away from where I was. And he's like, his anti-hangover product Rewind came out that day, like basically I think it was last Friday.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I tell you what, man, he goes, I can overnight you one Thursday night when I get it. He's like, but if it doesn't get to you, he's like, I'll just drive it down to you. And I was like, yeah, you're the fucking man.
That works.
So sure enough, he overnighted it. We got it. We tested it. I tell you what,
worked for you?
Yeah, because usually Friday night is when, because I stay there for a couple of days, and usually Friday gets like really aggressive, and then Saturday you're kind of like hungover.
Yeah.
So you don't go so crazy. But Friday was good, man. I mean, we drank a lot. So I even showed him the picture. I showed him the picture of how much we drank out of the 2 bottles.
Yeah.
And I felt great. I mean, I didn't sleep. That's the only thing. It's like, I was tired, but no hangover whatsoever. So I was like, okay, Corey.
Well, let's see. So we're using some new software for the people listening on the podcast. Usually I record these in Skype and then upload the video separately. But today we're using StreamYard, which is what the thing I do for the live Q&As and stuff. And so we've got this handy dandy new feature that we can do. We can do this share screen, so we can go over the ingredients of this. So we've got here. All right, so you can see that we've got the ingredient panel right there.
Yep.
All right, so we've got vitamin B1, 1 milligram of that, niacin. Did you notice any flushing or anything like that with it?
I mean, I was already flushed from a bottle of bourbon, I guess.
Yeah. Did you take this in the morning or the night after?
So the way we took it, so we didn't even really take it right. But the second night, I took it the way you're supposed to. So the first night, I took it, and then we kept drinking.
Yeah.
So we took it probably 2 hours before I actually stopped drinking.
Right.
And the second night, I took it afterwards.
Okay.
So both times it was sort of in and after. He said you can take it beforehand too, but I haven't done that yet. Took it basically after. And there's some interesting, because it's got like CoQ10, Cetria. That's not cheap. That's a lot of Cetria, and that's not cheap.
Yeah. Now, have they, with Cetria, they've shown that to be a more bioavailable form, because regular glutathione is poorly converted in the body, and that's why most people choose to go with N-acetylcysteine.
Yeah, the Cetria, and interesting thing about Cetria is it's kind of one of those things, although people aren't really ready for this yet, because you can use less citrulline when you use it with Cetria at the same time. But it's just kind of funny, because then people are like, wow, well, citruline's underdosed. It's like, well, fucking never mind. It's like, well, yeah, you can use less, but that's the idea, is that Cetria, right? Because usually you just say, all right, well, give me some NAC, but I don't know that. I mean, there's never really been a use case where I was like, oh yeah, I can tell that this Cetria glutathione is working better than, because every time I use Cetria, it's in with a bunch of other ingredients like this too. So tough to say.
Yeah, the ginger's an interesting inclusion, but I'm assuming that's most likely probably for easing the stomach, because that's a common tonic used to ease a sour stomach. And there might be some other anti-hangover properties, or helping alcohol metabolism and clearance from the body. I'm not familiar with all the inner workings of ginger outside of its thermogenic properties or its tummy soothing properties.
Just general, maybe another good antioxidant and anti-inflammatory.
With the minerals, with the supplement facts panel, it just lists the 4 minerals by themselves. I wonder what forms they're using. Aren't you supposed to have to list those?
There's some things like I've noticed that with some OuttenFit's products that there's not specifications on some of these things.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, you're supposed to, and you have some on there, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Especially, it's like, well, that part of it you think would. It's like there's no reason not to put it on there.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's
I'm not
interesting.
sure. I'm not sure where he manufactures that, but
yeah. Anyway, the 6 servings, 5 containers in there. Is that a smaller serving, or is that the only you do? So that's.
I think he's got 7 servings in it. That's what I thought.
Okay, the facts panel I had, it said 5 servings per container.
Yeah,
that's pricey, but Cetri is not cheap. I know KSM is cheap, but that's over $4 a serving.
Yeah, because I swear it's seven servings. I have a tub of it around here somewhere. I think it's 7 servings is like 21, because I think it worked out to be like $3, which I think any one of us, if you could say this from a hangover, is going to pay $3.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that was his idea. He's like, I want to make something a little more expensive since it's not like a 30-day thing. He's like, if you need a 30 days worth of hangover, he's like, you probably never hung over anyway. He's like, probably just
true.
So I know that was part of his thought process. He's like, I'm going to use a little bit more expensive ingredients and just make it smaller, where you can use it maybe once a week or a couple times a month.
Yeah,
which makes sense from a business perspective too, where it's like, okay.
Or if you got something like a bachelor party and it's just gonna be a whole weekend bender.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think next week I'll probably where I went to stay with was like my best friend growing up. He lives pretty close to me now, and I'm gonna go stay there probably over 4th of July week too.
Sweet.
Because they're moving, and
gotcha.
So I'm gonna go hang out and
have some more revelry.
I'm already tired. But what I'm going to try to do is try and take some kind of... See, that was the thing about this time, though, is we only drank the 2 different bourbons. Usually, he's got, like, a whole collection, and he's just, like, having me try stuff. So then I don't remember, like, what I tried and if it was any good. But this time, we just sort of honed in on, like, 2 things that we picked up. So it was a little easier to remember. Because Eagle's Rare... Did you not? You don't have Eagle's Rare, right? You didn't?
I can't find it. So I went online to look through some of the local liquor stores here, and they just don't. It's not listed on their site. I guess maybe if I walked through the store, I could find it. But even then, it's bourbon. Some of the bourbons that you're finding really easily up there in Delaware, I'm not getting anything around here.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the more common ones like Knob Creek. They've got Jim Beam and Jameson and all this other shit here, but it's some of the other one, like the middle tier bourbons, like something that's better than just like regular Jim Beam or something. Those are getting a little bit harder to find, but I can still find the American High West Prairie, which is great. The Iron Wolf Distillery, which is the local distillery by us that I really like. Almost finished with that one.
Almost done with this one.
Uh-oh.
The camera's reversed, so it's like this is throwing me off.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing of it is like, it seems like we can get some really cool stuff here. You just pay, obviously, you pay a lot more for it. Like, Blanton's here is like $90. But you can get it. So, like, Buffalo Trace was like $45, when normally you can get it for like 30. But this is kind of like a little, the place I went to is sort of like a smaller niche kind of place. So, makes sense. Plus, they're awesome over there. So, I'm like, whatever. Whatever. Yeah. I would prefer not to spend that much, but you know how it is.
Right, yeah, and you're supporting the local mom and pop people instead of the bigger box ones. So,
plus they let me sample stuff when I go in there, which who does that?
Well, that's good. I mean, it's the only time I've seen a sampling at some of the liquor stores here is like on a Saturday. They'll have
like an official one.
Yeah, an official one, like the regional sales rep of Jim Beam or Fireball or some vodka company will come out and have 2 or 3 different things for you to try, and we've done that on occasion, but no, not just walking in there.
These guys are like, well, nobody's in the store. You want to try some stuff? I'm like, hell yeah.
So they just have a bunch of open bottles back behind the counter or something.
Yeah.
I guess they could just take nips on the job.
Yeah. What the hell? But I guess I just won't say the place. But they seem to have like a really good selection. I didn't know that. I think like the first time I went in there, I took a video of like the selection, and I asked like my buddy, I was like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
He was like, holy shit. He's like, they got some good stuff there. So, which is interesting because they have some really rare, like if you go to the beer, like craft beer place too, they have all kinds of rare stuff, which I was like, who knew?
Yeah. Are you much of a beer guy, or you tend to stick more to the liquors?
Well, lately,
well, yeah.
No, I love like it's whatever. I mean, whatever the occasion is, really. Like, if it's summertime and I like any kind of craft beer, really.
Yeah.
I especially like, I've kind of, although I still can do this, I just prefer not to. One thing that I love about bourbon is I like to eat. I like to eat a ton.
Yeah.
You know how it is, man. It's like you go and you have like a big meal. You try to drink a bunch of beers. You can't do that, man. It's just like it's not even enjoyable. And the good thing about bourbon is, it's just a little bit, and
it goes a long way.
Yeah, you can be full, and you can still have an enjoyable experience without just like feeling disgusting,
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been enjoying the bourbon lately for sure. But I can definitely drink beer. Craft beers are good. We had a lot of good wineries and craft beer places back like where I grew up, and not so much here. There's like Dogfish Head and stuff like that, but even that one, they have too many beers from it. It's not like it's a pretty big place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's whatever. I'm not picky.
Yeah.
It's like whatever people are kind of hanging out, whatever the setting, I can pretty much get down with whatever.
Sweet. On the top, you said you can eat a lot of food and put it away, and we've discussed previously before that both of us have had struggles more or less along lines with food over the years, and we've kind of worked our way back to having a better relationship with food and things like that. Do you ever do any kind of food challenges? Do you think that's the occasional kind of like binge or like food challenge if you want to tackle like a 6-pound patty or something like that? What are your thoughts on those kind of things?
So that's interesting that you say that, because I can put away a ton of food.
Yeah.
But I have this really weird thing, like I think from struggling with food for a while, and then I really did. I think I didn't know it at the time, but I was doing a lot of damage to myself by not eating enough. And why I do the intermittent fasting sort of schedule and stuff now is because when I eat, I want to enjoy food, and I feel like when you do, when you like just eat too much, or you do like an eating challenge, it sucks. Like it's like you just feel like shit like when you eat, and I just don't. When we talk about like what's the best diet for you and what's the best eating, it's like, man, I just want to always enjoy food, and that's why I'll never do a bodybuilding competition. As close as I got to that type of level, I just wouldn't do it because I don't want eating to become a job. You know what I mean? I mad respect for people that can do that. I just don't want to do that. So if I can find a balance between enjoying food and really enjoying the eating aspect of it, like people do, like you hear them when they're like off season. People are like, oh my God, I missed eating. I missed, the carbs and stuff like that. If I can just in moderation feel like that basically all year round, and maybe, tinker with things a little bit here and there, I just would rather do that. And it's like, well, what am I doing it for at this point anyway? You're just trying to feel better.
Yeah. The reason I ask that is because I'm usually fairly regimented with the way I eat. Even like I'm okay eating, certain garbage food and things, and obviously I'm okay drinking bourbon, and rather liberally. So I would like to think that, but the other weekend we did a donut power hour with my younger sister and her husband via Zoom in the morning. So obviously, first start is to work up an appetite because I'm never hungry in the morning. Sana and I did a high volume leg workout immediately before buying the dozen donuts, and so the power hour is basically you have to eat a dozen donuts in an hour. And so some ways you can do it are like take one bite every minute on the minute, and you have to finish each donut in 5 minutes. So that way by the end, 12 times 5 will be 60 minutes. But I just said, screw it. If you can finish the 12 donuts in an hour, go ahead. And so 3 of the 4 of us finish the donuts. I finished my dozen in 50 minutes, and I probably could have shaved 5 minutes off my time, maybe. Sandy bombed because she tried to shove a whole donut in her mouth to get it, and then she just tapped out at the 50-minute mark. And my younger sister and younger brother. And I just thought, man, that was the first time I just, because you keep like a running mental tally of macros and stuff in my head. I don't log it religiously like I used to for years and years. But I mean, that was the first time, and I just cut loose, and it felt very, very freeing. It probably wasn't the best thing health-wise, but I mean, shit, it was so immediately after a workout, and I actually felt energized the rest of the day, having that huge bolus of, carbs and sugar and everything else. So it's an interesting thing. It's not something I'm going to do very often, but I just wonder, breaking free of some of that it's good in some ways, and I guess as long as it doesn't become a habit, it's it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I've always noticed too that when we're just having this conversation actually, because like my one friend that I go and visit, he's not in like fitness stuff like that. He's just same age, and he's trying to just be healthy. And
right.
Another friend of ours is very much like along the same lines as I am, and he's like, I was just having a conversation with this other guy. He's like, for a long time, super strict, regimented training and food.
Yeah.
And both of us have said the same thing to my friend now over the last like year or so. Is we're like, I just eat more and I feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you're like, wait, so why? So just keep doing it. And it's like, you don't really notice, you don't know until you sort of push out. But there's always like a mental block with me where you're just struggling with body image. Like, it seems like it's always a woman thing, but we know it's guys.
Oh yeah.
I probably have it worse than women. You just don't say it, or it's not as obvious, because guys, it's usually, well, I'm never big enough. Guys are just always so self-conscious about,
right.
I'm not big enough, I'm not big enough. And then when you get into this industry, there's a lot of pressure to be, bigger and stuff like that. But, it's not always that way. Guys struggle with body dysmorphia and stuff too. I would say, especially in the fitness industry, probably above any other industry that there is. Even people that you look at them and you're like, well, you really can't do any better, but they're like,
right.
that constant drive. So, yeah, it's things just sort of change, and you just let loose a little bit, and you're like, wow, that wasn't so bad. It's kind of like getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. And I just remember always like, I don't really like to eat unless it's like a really good pizza. Like, I love pizza, don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna cheat for some half-ass pizza.
Oh yeah.
But like you stuff yourself with like pizza or something like that. You go to the gym the next day and you just fucking crush it. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I was like, I'm gonna have to start testing this out a little bit. Yeah,
that's the next eating challenge I think we're gonna try with if we do another, like, because we'll do like a Skype happy hour with my sister on every now and then on Sundays or Saturdays, depending on what their schedule is or what her work schedule is, because she's a pharmacist in a hospital in New Orleans. So they're especially there, it's fucking crazy for her right now.
She thinks supplements are shit, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want to give her like a hangover formula and say, hey, just try this and see if this changes your opinion. Get really wasted on some wine or White Claws or whatever the hell you want to drink, some bourbon or something.
Can you get wasted on White Claws?
I don't know. I mean, the first time I ever got a buzz was off Smirnoffs, but I mean that was
I remember drinking like Special Brew. Did you ever have Special Brew?
No, what is that?
It was St. Ides Special Brew.
Never had that.
It's it was a high school thing, like 20 years ago, I guess. It St. Ides, that makes like 40 ounces in malt liquor. They have like a fruit kind of one. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna find it.
I have not heard of that one. One of my for my brother's bachelor party, some of his groomsmen got Four Locos and some other kind of thing. I mean, I've never tasted something so insipid. God. Those were disgusting. They were absolutely horrid. And I went and bought a bottle of Jack Daniels. That was before I really got. I mean, this was 9 years ago that he got married. I think 2011 was when he got married.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and Four Loko changed because I remember.
Yeah.
It got banned for a while.
Right. Yeah, the caffeine and alcohol mixture was taboo.
Yeah, because I remember a road trip we all went on, and we were, besides the driver, like
you were fueled by Four Loko.
Yeah, swear to God, the driver was not drinking, but we put away some Four Lokos on the trip, and I remember some people losing most of that trip.
Yeah, it was there's some good memories associated with that bachelor party that we'll have to get into on another day. Back to the eating challenge thing. We were going to try and do a pizza eating challenge. You remember? Did you ever see the movie Feds from the 80s? It's got Rebecca De Mornay in it and a couple of other things. And there's a pepperoni pizza eating scene in there where they just keep going round for round, and she out eats the guy under the table. So I think we're going to try and do that, like a large pizza in an hour. I'm going to have to look up some kind of. Oh yeah, I love that movie, and I can't find it anywhere. I guess I'll have to look harder, go like search on eBay or something. Because I haven't seen that in 10 years.
The one woman with the short hair, and she was like kind of like the nerdy one, and yeah, that was a good movie. So I remember why we got into Special Brew too when we were in high school, because Snoop Dogg and Tupac promoted it. And I mean, we're it was the 90s and mid 90s, late 90s.
Yeah, they were in their prime.
But it looks like you can still get this stuff, which would be the best joke ever if I could get some before next weekend. Oh my God, this might be.
Pay for the extra shipping. Pay for the overnight shipping.
It would be totally worth it just to see the look on my buddy's face. Wow. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Special Brew. That reminds me of high school days. Four Loko. But now, and that's what I think I told you this before. So we still play, we'll play like video games and stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, really, we're no different than when we were like 17. We just drank different stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, back then when we did it, we drank, soda or whatever. And then it was,
now it's bourbon.
Then it was beer and Special Brew. And then now it's bourbon. So that's all that's really changed in our life is what I drink during certain occasions.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't grown up at all. So,
you mentioned Tupac. What kind of music do you like to listen to when you're training, if any? Because I know you say you leave your phone in the car, or you just leave it at home, or whatever. So obviously you're not having your headphones in, or maybe you do. Maybe you bring like a Discman or a Walkman into the gym with you. I don't know. But,
yeah, because there was a huge hilarious conversation about this on the private Facebook group because I said I still use an iPod Shuffle. And people are like, so you made an app, but you use a shuffle? Oh my God, I just don't. I have to. And I've been having a bad habit. I actually have been taking my phone with me lately. But I always listen to music when I'm working out because I just like to go in my little mode, but I don't want my phone. So my shuffle has been hanging on for dear life for a while. It's in bad shape. She's washed it probably like 10 times. And so kudos to Apple for making a heavy duty product that still lasts. But if I played my shuffle, you would laugh your ass off because it'll go from. I think I get this from a lot of people who are sort of like this, but it's kind of like your pre-workout and your routine and the music sort of all work in conjunction together.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you watch Dexter, right? Big Dexter. I'm actually rewatching it again.
There you go.
So there's an instrumental that they play every once in a while on that show, and if you heard it, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called Astro's Birthday, and it's just a really slow string instrumental. It's awesome. It doesn't fit in with I listen to there's Hollywood Undead on there, there's gangster rap, there's pop music, there's all kinds of shit. But that song will put me if I'm just kind of out of whack, sometimes you're at the gym and you just kind of can't concentrate, you can't focus. Something like that will calm me down a little bit, and it locks me right in focus wise. Or if I'm stretching, something like that, it's music like that. But if I played my playlist, you'd be like, what the hell? It's the most diverse, crazy mix of shit over here.
Do you have different stuff depending on what you're training on a given day? So you'll pick maybe hard rock for a certain kind of workout, and then rap for a certain kind of workout, and then maybe something a little bit more mellow for a different kind? Or is it workout dependent, or more how you're just feeling on that day dependent?
Yeah, I think everything with me is at this point, when people ask me like what pre-workouts I use, I was like, it depends on how I feel, how I feel that day leading into that workout. Because some days you would rather not mess with what you got going on. So maybe it's something more pump, non-stim.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're just really looking to sort of. I play it all by ear. You know what I mean? Like how I feel that day. How did I sleep the night before is usually the biggest indicator. What are my energy levels like? Do I want a more nootropic based, or do I want, because like people know too, you can overdo all this stuff. People are like, well, more stims.
Yep.
Like I just overdid it yesterday with pump. I took a mortal from Raise Nutrition, and I took 4 caps of Morpho Pump, and I had a great workout for about an hour, but then it just done. Like totally, that feeling like when the pump is just too strong, and then eventually it's like wet noodle muscles.
Right.
Basically, it's just your body's like, I'm done.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you don't want to have that happen on a day where you might have a goal of a ton of volume or something like that. You know what I mean? So it really, at this point, I think we've been doing it for so long that you can just sort of go, sort of
Yeah.
freewheel it basically, and how it's going to kind of play out.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a couple. The pre-workout that you sent me, that you were generous enough to send me, that thou shalt not be named. Boy, does that thing.
The previous edition.
I'm telling you what, you take that with 6 caps of Morpho Pump.
Oh God.
It is a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And I hate it that it's so good, because I'm like, well, now what? Now what do I do?
Yeah.
So
you've ruined it. You're wrecked now.
It's such a perfect combination. But if you use, because it's so, it's like the most vasoconstrictive shit you're ever going to use. So then you throw Morpho Pump in there, and you get a good balance of that, and you don't you don't blow it out, too soon. So I've been thinking about that. I was like, man, this is too good. What am I going to do?
Yeah. With this is a conversation I was having earlier today, and it almost seems like a very basic question. You and I have probably discussed it 100 times off air, or you've answered it in private, but I don't think it's something you and I have ever covered on the podcast. Say somebody comes to you and say, how do I choose a pre-workout that's right for me? What are some of the, how do you start that from like a jumping off point? How do you approach that if you're consulting with somebody?
Usually the first question is, what have you used before? And can you explain to me like why, there's several questions I think in there, but right away I want to know, what have you used in the past? So what level are we talking about here? And then a lot of my questions are, what makes you want to change? Like what about this one didn't, or are you just you're expecting something totally different from all these things? People like think there's something magic, like, you're chasing that dragon, as people say. Really, there's not a whole lot that a pre-workout's going to do for you. There's only a few certain effects that you're going to feel.
Correct.
So, what is it about this? And can I, sort of, but it's usually, what have you used before? What's your experience level? What's your training style? Are you training in the morning? Are you training at night? When are you sleeping? When it comes to stimulants, what's your stimulant intake? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because there's just so often too where we still, I don't know that we're ever going to get over this problem, but people will only look at caffeine content.
Right.
And you're just like, the caffeine is not what's going to get you. It's this other stuff that's kind of tucked in there that people, we make that hooligan. We use that as kind of an analogy. People are like, oh my God, 700 milligrams of caffeine. Like, holy shit. Meanwhile, you're using 200 and some milligrams of DMHA plus urea gerensis plus caffeine, but they're going, oh, well, it's only 300 milligrams caffeine, so it's so much. Not realizing that, we're not even really sure what kind of damage you could be doing there. So it's just, that part of it, but that's sort of further down the road. But first thing I usually want to know is, what have you used before, and, kind of what about that didn't satisfy what you were looking for?
Yeah. And then, so once you get over the caffeine hurdle, I guess what if they're a complete novice to pre-workouts? Do you tell, just because my first question is, do you want caffeine in it or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm assuming that most people, I guess in the context that I was having this conversation, it's that people most likely have used a pre-workout before, but I didn't even think to ask, what have you already used? It's more of like, do you want caffeine or not? Starting from somebody that's never used a pre-workout before.
Well, and what I'll ask usually too is, do you drink energy drinks? Do you drink coffee? Because people don't realize they're getting 800 milligrams of caffeine in their day and they don't think anything of it because
Right.
you drink a couple of energy drinks or, big ass coffee, from Starbucks or something. And like, but if you really put it down in numbers, they would be like, oh my God, that's crazy. It's just that, some of these pre-workouts actually tell you, but that's usually, there's a kind of a basket of, questions that sort of come up first, but usually it's, what other things are going on in your day because you don't want to start tucking in something that, even if it seems innocuous, like, or to us, depending on that person's schedule, it might really, be a mess for them. And that's
right.
This is all why I'm just like, oh, okay, so you want Google to tell you this answer? Hey, fine. Good luck.
Yeah. And then I guess extending, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think there's just a lack of those initial conversations that, which is really cool because I hear, I know a lot of people that are like work at like GNCs and stuff like that. And it's also always something I'm interested in is like, what's the first thing? Because when I go into a GNC, when we've gone in and sort of tested this in the past, I get way too quick of an answer from people. I'm like, well, I want a fat burner. I want a pre-workout. I'm like, oh, this one. It's like, you son of a bitch. But there are some people that are like, okay, what have you used before? What are kind of thing. So I like that sort of dialogue.
Yeah. Since you brought up GNC, the big news that came across the wire yesterday was that they just filed for bankruptcy. What do you make of that in relation to the health of the supplement industry? What do you think's the path forward for GNC?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think anybody should have been surprised. I don't think it's a big deal. I think if anything, it's probably going to be a positive for them. I think just for me, I don't know the inner workings of GNC, but just from a common sense perspective and watching sort of them with this failing business model over and over and over again, all they're trying to do is slap band-aids on the boat is leaking and they're trying to cover it with something that doesn't quite cover the hole. So eventually it was going to happen. I mean, you're seeing this years ago. You're like, there's just no way you're going to sustain this. And there's nothing that they're going to do. You need to blow it up. Really, you kind of got to blow it up and start over, reboot. How do you do that? Is file for bankruptcy. I mean, this is America. It's like filing for bankruptcy is not the end of the world. It's usually, oftentimes it can be a good thing. I just think that they had just gone too far down one path to turn around. You get too big. So if they close some locations, they're still going to be massive. People are always going to want to go into GNC. I've always believed that. I think GNC just has that way about them. As much as people will always want to shop online, I think people still want to go to GNCs and talk to people. And that's where GNC dropped the ball is, you and I both know a lot of extremely talented business people and stuff that left GNC because they're not in an environment where they were taken care of or given an opportunity to really succeed. And they treat their employees like it's a college part-time job.
Right.
It's insane. It's insane. So, I get it. So then once they're like, okay, their profits slip. So you try to do something for cash flow. Well, cash flow might be a quick, fix, but that's not a long-term solution. Like what you're trying to do with subscriptions and programs and all that sort of crap. And it's like, you can't get away with this stuff. Like you can't tell someone this is the product that's going to help. They're going to find out. They're going to go home. They're going to use it. It's like, hey, congratulations, you made that one sale. But you need the long-term value of a supplement customer is absolutely insane. And you're blowing it by fucking up the first month. It's like by giving them something that's not going to work for them and not actually suit their needs, you just wasted. Think about how much, I don't know. I get a lot of free stuff. How much stuff I used to shop in GNC and bodybuilding. And I can't even just imagine the money they lost on me not shopping there anymore. And then, so, you want to start multiplying that by all the people that move on to other places. It's like,
Yeah.
they don't seem to see it. So we'll see if someone, because I've heard some interesting rumors about people that are interested in buying it that I think are smart business people, and it's definitely still a viable, healthy, I think, good option if they were to put a better system in place. I mean, it's still huge, huge. So
Right.
we'll see. I think it was inevitable. It didn't really, it's kind of like, oh, it's about time, because they've been losing their ass for years. So it's like, at some point, you have to say, what are we doing here? We got to try something totally different. So.
Yeah. Do you foresee something like this similar happening with Vitamin Shop, who's, well, I guess, the next biggest brick and mortar retailer?
Yeah, probably. I don't. I just think they just did the same exact thing. Like, just seems to me they went down the exact same. It's like, if you watch someone else, that's the benefit of being second, right? That's like what Apple has hung their hat on. You don't necessarily want to be first, right?
Yeah.
You can say, oh, we can improve on that. But I don't see Vitamin Shop improving on it. Maybe they might be shittier, slower. I don't know. But that type of retail thing is just changing. I don't think either one of them are. I mean, I think I'm not real aware of Vitamin Shop's numbers, but I feel like they've been like the same trajectory as GNC basically for a while, and they both try like the same exact. I see them try to do the same fixes that don't work. It's like so yeah, I would say at some point. So Vitamin Shop, now I think about it, who bought them? Like that tax company, Liberty Tax or something like that, purchased them. How'd that go? That was maybe like last year. But
Franchise Group Inc. closes on the acquisition of Vitamin Shop to be acquired by Liberty Tax.
Yeah, that'll tell you all you need to know about doing your taxes in this country, right?
Weird. That's interesting. Huh.
Taxes and insurance, man.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, because like same way, like GNC got some foreign money infused in there, and they're gonna have to pay that back. And I've heard some pretty weird things already that I can't repeat, but it was their only option. I think you can try and. I think Vitamin Shop would do the same thing. You're going to try to plug the leak as much as you can, but if you don't, I just don't think that I don't think they're set up for long-term success.
Right.
How are you going to reverse that? Because if you don't have, how do I say this? Because you have Amazon, such a dominant player. If someone just wants to go somewhere to purchase something, you just go to Amazon. You don't have to leave your house.
Yeah.
You go to the Vitamin Shops and GNCs. But the reason why GNC was so popular back in the day for us, I mentioned this lots of times, it was like the place to go. Like, people there, they knew their stuff. It was where like athletes would go hang out. It was a cool thing to go to GNC and talk to other people that were like in the health and fitness industry. It's not the way it is anymore. It's like, so that's not just going to up and change. So I think that they just sort of got away and they grew, too big. So scale it back, change some things up, and I think they still have a lot of potential.
Cool. All right, moving forward to some supplement experiences. What new things have crossed your threshold over the past week, and what is some of the pre-workout you've been running through lately?
I got some core vegan protein that comes to mind. Robbie sent me some more. I love Robbie. He sent me, we tried the Enigma, but he sent me more of the cookie, the peanut butter cookie.
Peanut butter cookie? Yeah.
I swear to God, I've gone through damn near that tub like in a week.
It's really good. I love it. It's awesome.
Yep. But the core vegan's good. Vegan protein, I don't know, because they use really good ingredients. Some of these vegan proteins that you see, you're like, wow, those are good. They're the ingredients, and you're like, wow. But the core one, I think, it's like it's got that grittier taste like vegan proteins do, but
yeah, they all have that.
Good. It was like maple pancake.
Did you get all 3 flavors or just 1 or 2 of them?
Just one. They sent me the maple pancake batter. I think that's it. Yeah, I got tons of stuff. pre-workouts I've been using, besides, well, I only use that one once. I use Immortal all the time. Ray's Nutrition's Immortal.
Yeah.
I love that pre-workout.
Do you like it do you like it more or less or about the same compared to the previous version?
Better. Yeah. The previous version was way stronger. But which is fine. I would use the old one once in a while. This one, I can literally use it every day. It's 400 caffeine, but it doesn't feel like it. It's not really, really heavy. It's very like smooth feeling. So, because if I don't take stims in the other parts of the day, then that leaves me plenty for my pre-workout. So 400 milligrams caffeine pre-workout's fine. The pumps on it are just so good. Like I like the pumpier pre-workouts. I think at least that's the mode I'm in now. Although I do, some of the stimulant ones. Assassin. I used Assassin the other day. It was good.
Since both of them have the PEA alkaloids from ureagerensis and the N-phenylethyl dimethylamine,
and
taking those
version too, right?
Say it again.
And the citrate form of it too, right?
Right. Do you notice that you get the same kind of enhanced mood, focus, energy, euphoria, whatever you want to describe from it, taking it multiple times in a week? Or have you ever taken it back-to-back days, or do you notice like a rapid tolerance buildup with something akin to DMAA or DMHA?
Yeah, I develop a tolerance to things pretty quick. And that's why I think I like the fact that it's got such a great pump and blood flow sort of backbone in it. It's got a lot of Himalayan pink salt. It's got some Icarian. Got some other cool things. So like you feel the energy, but it's not overwhelming. It's like that new car smell. Like the first time you take a pre-workout, you're usually like, holy shit.
Right.
And then the second time you're like, okay. But if it's got some other things tucked in there, that's what I always liked about Core Fury too, was it's got the CDP choline, it's got pregnenolone. You sort of get that little bit of a boost in there too. So that's why it's really, really hard to find a pre-workout that you can use all the time. Because especially for me, I get used to them so quickly.
Right.
It's scary, but
I try to only use like the PEA containing ones, because I've got some DMAA or DMHA pre-workouts lying around, but I don't really ever use those. I don't feel like I ever want or need that kind of sensation from those. I'm just fine with the ureagerensis and their alkaloids. But even then, I won't use those typically on a leg workout day, because usually it's got that plus like 400 milligrams of caffeine, and on a leg day I want something lower stim, like in the 150 to 250 range. Yeah,
same thing with leg day. I don't want anything, especially you use some of those aggressive ones that are like artificially increasing your heart rate. It's like this leg, you're doing legs and you don't want your heart rate raised artificially. You can do it just fine,
right,
on your own. But I think you're right. What one comes to mind when we talk about PEAs, and they're just inconsistent for me. I think anyway, that Hypermax Extreme. I've never really used a pre-workout that is so unbelievably amazing, and then the next time I use it, it's kind of like, oh, and then you're like, holy shit, and then, but that's just I think the nature of PEAs in general.
Yeah.
Right, because they're pretty fragile in the body, right? It's like, especially if you don't have, some other things that are sort of helping, MAOIs and whatnot. But even that doesn't seem to be like, 100%. I think your body can, use them up pretty quick. So it's inconsistent, definitely with PEAs for me. But when they're on, boy,
you feel like $1 million. Yeah,
you don't need DMA or DMHA, right?
No, I did a serving of Hypermax today for our push workout, and it's like it was slow to come on, because sometimes when I'll take Hypermax, it's kind of like you said. There are those days where, man, like within like 10 to 15 minutes of taking it, boom, I feel electrified. Other days it's slower to come up. And yesterday, I had maybe half a serving of CogniSurge was the only stimulants I had the whole day, because yesterday was one of our interval training days, and so I don't need a whole lot during that. I don't want a whole lot, so I took half a serving of that, and that was it. So I was expecting, the Hypermax to really like pop me in the face this morning.
Yeah.
But man, it took a good like 45 minutes to get rolling. But then after that, it kicked in right when we were, maybe a third of the way through into our workout. and it felt great. And I'm still, we finished that 2 hours ago, so I'm still feeling a pretty good buzz off of it.
So you really like that cognitive surge, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've bought 3 tubs of it off Amazon. I'm halfway through my second one. I'm saving the third one to be sealed. So if we do a full review, we can actually do the weigh out and the scoop, and you can kind of do one of those official kind of reviews like we do every now and then. Just because I love the product. I mean, you get 20 servings. It's $17. It works so well for me.
That's awesome.
On a day in day out basis, or like an every other day basis. That it's for being so low caffeine. It packs a wallop and gets me energized like the entire day.
Mm-hmm. I really like that Ghost Gamer. I had a feeling I would like it, but I didn't think I would like it as much. I mean, I take it all the time. It's also the flavor of it's really good. I like the Sour Patch flavor, but that is a nice product. I don't use a lot of Ghost stuff, and that one is excellent. Really, really like it. Very subtle, but nice and energizing, and fits in with my day pretty good. It just kind of goes back to the whole thing where I criticize energy drinks. It's like, why would you buy an energy drink when you can use something like that? But
right. I wonder if more pre-workouts. So, over the years, we've seen like a constantly, slowly escalating buildup of caffeine contents in pre-workouts to where, 3, 4, 5 years ago, 300 milligrams was considered a lot for a single serving. And now, we're getting 350, 400, 450. Some of like the extremely hardcore stuff like Hooligan and whatnot have 600, 700 milligrams of caffeine. Do you think that we may ever see like a rewind or a de-escalation of the caffeine content back into like the 150 to 200 milligram range, and they just like jack it full of a bunch of nootropics? Because I find I need substantially less caffeine, or I don't. I'll use the word want. I want or need substantially less caffeine when the nootropic blend is right for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but no, I don't think so. I just don't think most people will accept that. I would be fine with it. I would probably prefer it just because your caffeine tolerance can be so high that it's like, well, even 500 milligrams sometimes is not doing anything. So all you're doing is just hurting yourself, basically hurting your tolerance. So I would like to see that, but I just don't think. And people are still, they'll never get around that caffeine is the only thing that they think about. Even people that, even reviewers and people that are supposed to know this shit, all they look at is caffeine.
Right.
I don't think we'll ever get past that. I think this is kind of the standard that's been set. I think, I mean, look at all the people that use proprietary blended stimulant pre's that have no idea how much caffeine is in there.
Right.
And those are still around. So it's like, now caffeine's cheap. So
they're cheap.
I would like to see more options, but I just don't think you're only going to see, niche companies sort of do stuff like that because there's just not a lot. I mean, I think you get my point. It's like, I just don't think there's enough market for that, even though it was something I would appreciate and you would appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't think most people would ever understand it.
Yeah. Do you think, I think we've touched on this a couple of times in previous things, but do you, so most companies have a stimulant pre-workout and then a non-stimulant one. Do you think it makes much sense to have different tiers of stim-based pre-workouts? So say you've got like the light your balls on fire stim pre-workout and then like a more moderately stimmed one, and then you have a non-stim one to where you can make, and then if so, should you make those to where they're stackable or completely standalone? Because a lot of the times these products will have some overlap in their ingredients.
Well, I think that's more business than anything. I think it makes sense, like on paper, but it depends how big the company is. Like, are you able to? Because I think like Steel's probably doing. I think that was a good move. Like, take Steel. They had like Amped AF and Charged AF or whatever.
Right.
Those are fucking hardcore, all kinds of crazy shit in them. Well, they made a more approachable, lower stim, sort of basic, and not even basic. It's actually pretty solid, but more affordable pre-workout. That makes sense. Steel's a huge company though, right? With a lot of reach. So they're reaching a niche that they didn't have because people are like, well, I can't use your pre-workouts because they're too crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, and we see it a lot too, where you get companies that have confused pump and pre-workouts where it's like, why are you putting so many pump ingredients in your pre-workout when you have this huge pump product?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Sometimes it's like, yeah, certain things like citrulline, you can probably load up pretty good on it and nobody really cares. But citrulline is not a cheap ingredient. I mean, especially when you use big dosages of it all the time. So,
yeah.
And if you're going over 10, 12 grams, you're probably not doing anything anyway. But you see that a lot. I just don't. You'd have to be a pretty massive company with a lot of customers to justify multiple levels. Where it's like, well, I can just run one SKU and do it the 20-40 serving way. I think that makes more sense for a company rather than trying to make two different products. But I mean, I get what you're saying, but I just don't think from a business perspective. But I see a lot of companies, they put too much pump in their pre-workout. It's like when you have a crazy pump product already. So it's like, well, why would someone buy your pump product if
right?
Already, but I guess if you want to go non-stim, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I mean
that's why I don't have a line too. So I don't have a
right. Yeah, and that's just something I ponder every now and then. It's like, should we make supplement lines that are more stackable? So the products themselves are cheaper and contain less ingredients, but you could buy more of them at a time for the same cost. So you could buy your stim powder, your stim and focus powder, and then your non-stim pump powder, and you stack those together, and that would be roughly the same cost as one of these like all-inclusive Mamma Jammer pre-workout supplements. And I haven't seen much of that in the industry. That just isn't a trend that's happening. We saw the race to make the biggest scoop serving pre-workout. Jim and Cage and all these other companies were doing it to where now, if you have over a 30-gram serving pre-workout, but then it's chock full of creatine, beta-alanine, BCAAs, and a whole bunch of other shit that doesn't do anything.
Well, actually, I think probably the companies doing it the best are the ones like Redcon One, like Ghost, like maybe Arms Race. Arms Race probably a little bit more because, ironically enough, with their margins and stuff, and having to, not that Arms Race formulas are cheap, they're definitely not. But you look at, like, say, take Redcon, their pre-workout's pretty straightforward to be pretty effective. Their pump formula is, there's not really like overlap.
Right.
They're made to go together. They sell them together. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Ghost has, their Legend and like their pump. They fit together perfectly. Seems like the more niche products probably do it worse. Where you're like, well, because I'm operating on, maybe I'm not in a GNC or whatever, I can make a more expensive formula and ultimately sort of like paint yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll never criticize a company for using too many ingredients, but it seems like sometimes it makes more sense. Obviously, I don't want to make too broad of a statement, but it's like sometimes by having less room to work with, you know what I mean? You have better interchangeable products, I guess.
Yeah. I think I'm going to extract that little clip right there. You actually paid Redcon One a compliment, and we're gonna put that on infinite repeat. We'll just blast that across the interwebs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they sell like crazy. You just make some simple, effective formulas and make them work together, and then I'm not a fan of everything that they do, but I mean, the results speak for themselves. I mean, they're as big as you get. People can bash them, myself included, all you want, but you have to respect what they've done as far as and being ahead of the curve. That's one thing that I like, that I've always said I respect about Redcon is they were ahead of the curve with this whole, let's stop fucking around in this hardcore, tiny niche. When you're looking at vitamin shops and GNCs going, there's literally nothing besides like Cellucor. Like we can step in here and we can kick ass, with our marketing, and we can make better formulas than what's out there.
Right.
They did it first. And now you see like other brands try to rebrand and, we're going to go less hardcore. Basically, they've been forced to go less hardcore by the FDA, but then also trying to follow the leader, and the shit doesn't work. Never works. Because you got to be first. So, as much as I don't care for what they do, I mean, in some ways, what few things that they have done are obviously genius, and they were ahead of the curve. So that's how they make the big bucks.
Speaking of, I saw this roll across the Stack 3D wire yesterday. I'm just wondering why the fuck are companies still doing this shit? I mean, I guess there's a market for it. Let me pull that up right there. Okay. This nonsense. I'm just wondering what consumer is going to go and buy this and think, man, that's going to be a really quality supplement. I think it's just somebody that just wants to like blow their face off or something. But that marketing doesn't. I mean, if anything, I would avoid seeing something like that.
Must be getting old, man.
I guess so. I mean, I love horror movies, but I don't want a horror theme on my supplements.
I don't know. I guess, I mean, what else are you going to do to differentiate yourself?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I kind of lump it into like the Insane Labs killer clown shit. So, go ahead.
It said it had epicatechin and glutathione in it.
Yeah, 300 milligrams each of Epicat and glutathione, which I guess is to improve nitric oxide production.
I just, and I love Nick's Immortal, but let's be serious at the same time. Is it something that's never, been done before? Am I feeling these pre-workout effects that I've never? No.
Yeah.
I am just so bored and over the pre-workout category.
Yeah.
It's just so I say this I think every week on here. I was like, if I ever did come out with my own line, I'm not making a pre-workout. You know why? Because I would be so fucking bored putting it together that I would lose interest in. And that was like when we talked to the Glaxon guys. Mm-hmm. They're like, we put specimen together in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you're like, oh wow, like this pre-workout is really like, it's like, yeah, you do a couple different things than most people do, and you can elicit some new effects. But they're like, it's just boring. It's boring. I totally agree. Like, I mean, people get so excited about pre-workouts because they think that something new is going to do something new, and you're just like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you possibly expect? And that's the reason why the DMA bathtub pre-workouts still sell, because that's the one differentiation that you can't find anywhere else is something like DMAA.
Right.
You can't find that. You can't recreate that. So that's it. I mean,
yeah, and I doubt any of the products that actually have DMAA listed in them, it's actually DMAA. It's going to be some other kind of alkaloid. I don't think there's actual legitimate 1,3-DMAA anywhere around anymore.
Yeah, it depends too if they're making. I know some people have heard like they manufacture overseas and then they ship them here, but that was kind of the part of it. I think that Michael from Glaxon mentioned this too. He's like, do we know where to get DMAA from? He's like, yeah, but he goes, I can never test it to make sure it's good,
right?
Because it's fucking illegal, so you can't send it out to be tested,
right?
To confirm it. He's like, so why would we do it? Because you'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, people ask me about pre-workouts, and it's just like, I would never make one. It's so boring. People are like, Justin, let me send you the formula for my pre-workout. I was like, I guarantee I can guess what it is before you send it to me.
Yeah.
So,
if you were to ever start your line, what would be the first thing you'd want to design?
I would make something, and this is another reason too why I just wouldn't get real hype about making my own line, because there's already products that I think do it so well that I would make something like a Leviathan Ire or a Morphogen Morphoprime. One of those, like, you have like a lot of like citrus flavonoids and curcumins and blood sugar regulation. I think like overall, like there's just so many benefits when it comes to like flavonoids. I think that you don't have to do anything overly crazy with them. I would probably make a cheaper version of their products and get into the general health realm, because there are a lot of like, you make a pre-workout and cool, that got me a good hour out of my day. Well, what about the rest of the day? Like, I'm just, the way I'm at right now anymore is I'm more focused on the other 23 hours of the day. Maybe, I don't think recovery is big enough for people to really care too much from a business perspective. So it would be something like overall health, that you would take every day kind of thing for business purposes. You want to make sure you get somebody on a subscription or something like that and sell it to them every month. So probably something like that.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, man. Well, in closing things up, any big plans for the weekend?
This weekend, no, because next week will be kind of crazy, 4th of July and stuff. So I think this weekend, just the meetings, early morning meetings over the weekend. Thanks, Brady. But no, it'll be fun. No rest. Don't slow down.
Good deal, man.
All
right, bud. Well, thank you again for joining me as always, and we will be back same bat time, same bat channel next week.
All right. Peace out.